Hello book besties, welcome back to my channel. Get comfortable, grab a drink. I have almost 40 books that I have hauled. Listen, at the beginning of the year, I made a goal that I was going to really prioritize cutting down my physical TBR. I've done a very good job of sticking to my read 5 or read 7 and then buy one. However, new releases get me every time. Those do not count towards my buying, so I don't feel like I'm making a whole lot of progress. However, most of these books that you are going to see were gifted to me for my birthday at the beginning of May. So that does not count toward my book hauls, okay? Also, I have unhauled a ton. I unhauled more than this haul is. So technically, I didn't really add any books because I took more away than I've added. Girl math, it's fine. But anyways, I am so excited to share with you guys all of these new books. Thank you so sincerely to everyone who was kind enough to send me a book for my birthday. I really appreciate everyone who was so kind and so thoughtful to think of me and to care enough to send me a book. I promise I'm going to read all of these. They are the highest on my TBR at this point. Let's just get into the books and see all of the exciting books I was gifted and hauled. Alright, right out the gate, one of the books that I am the most excited to have received. This was at the top of my list and I gasped for air when I opened this because it is so much more stunning in person. The special edition of Lightlark. Just hold, please. Are you kidding me? It is so stunning and it has the sprayed edges, but even better, it has artwork of the characters. And it's stunning! It's so pretty! Definitely one of my new prized possessions. I am literally obsessed with this. And another sweet friend got me Nothing Like the Movies. I read and really liked better than the movies. And this one, though it has received some mixed reviews, my friend that bought it for me loved it, and I'm just gonna trust that I love it too. I have been very eager to try it for myself and just see how their story develops after high school. If you have not read Better Than the Movies, trust me, you need to try that book because it is so nostalgic and so sweet and just like the perfect YA high school romance. So obviously I'm very excited to finally have this one in my hands and to read it. And I also received, watch me, guys, this is another one that is so stunning. This is the newest release in the Shatter Me series. I have read every book in that series. I really like it. Not only does it have gummy bears on the cover, but it's got the gold sprayed edges and all of the writing on the front of the book like the special edition of Shatter Me has. I didn't think that there were more books coming out, and so I'm really excited to dive back into that world. I got the new special edition of Hunger Games paperback. I only bought the first one. My intention was just to slowly collect these. I think I still will, however, I'm pretty disappointed at the quality. It's very flimsy. Like, even the paper just feels like not good quality paper. I don't know how to explain it. I was just pretty disappointed in the quality of this one. However, I'm still gonna collect them all because I know they'll be really pretty on my shelf together, and I pretty much collect almost every edition of the Hunger Games that I can possibly get my hands on. This next one is very special to me because my husband knows my all-time favorite book is A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. He took it upon himself to go online and do a ton of research and asking questions and looking for buzzwords, and just took the time to try to find a book that is very closely rated and said to be loved by fans of that book. And he picked this book for me that I had never even heard of, but sounds so good, and then is just so much more special because he handpicked it. If it's not a 5-star read, the disappointment will be real, but I do have very high hopes that I love it, and that is The Lady and the Lionheart. Never heard of it. If you've read it and hated it, please don't say anything. Because I really want to go into it with the expectations that I have. It gives maybe Redeeming Love type of vibes, but also Greatest Showman because he's a circus director. Charlie Lionheart holds the audience in the palm of his hand, but it's away from the spotlight where his true heart lies. He humbly cares for his pride of lions as if they were his brothers, and that bravery and strength has prepared him for his most challenging feat yet, freeing an orphaned infant from the dark bondage of a sideshow. A nurse, Ella Beckley, arrives to tend to this gypsy girl, all under the watchful eye of a guardian who not only bears a resemblance to the child, but protects the baby with a love that wraps around Ella's own tragic past. So basically, I expect it to rip my heart out, but also give me hope. Like, it sounds like a really human, beautiful, hope-filled type of a story. And then Come Back to Me. This was a random purchase that I actually made because I was reading Outlander. I'm going to save my thoughts on that for a reading vlog where I'm reading Outlander. And I came across this one that reminded me a lot of the Outlander vibes. It's got like the time travel on a quest to find this cure that could heal any disease, and somehow it ends up putting her traveling through time and in the Middle Ages during a dangerous peasant uprising. But William Durham, a valiant knight, comes to her rescue and offers her protection as his wife. The longer she stays in the past, the more she cares about William. Can she find her father and make it back to the present to heal her sister? And when the time comes to leave, will she want to? Tell me that's not Outlander vibes. So I have plans to read this one very, very soon because I'm probably going to include it in the Outlander vlog that's coming and see how they compare to each other. At Christmas time, I read a book called One Foggy Christmas by Courtney Kiesel. I'm probably saying her name wrong, but I loved it. It was a 5-star read. I had never tried her books before, and so I finally got my hands on 2 of her other books. I really want to try more of her writing. So I got Summer Ever After. The synopsis on this sounds so stinking cute. She does write clean or closed door romance. This girl is like trying to find the right guy to spend happily ever after with. She has a foolproof plan. She's taking the tropes that work in romance books and applying them to her love life. That is gonna be so cute to read if it's written well, which I really do trust that Courtney's gonna write that well. And then I got The Rejected King, which is like a YA dystopian. It sounded really good. The girl is gonna go work for him to help him find a bride, but from what I understand, she ends up falling for him, and it says that it's good for fans who love dystopian and who like the Selection series. I didn't realize that Courtney wrote a dystopian novel. Yes, please, I need to try this. Just this cover is really, really cool. And then I got Denise Hunter's The Summer of You and Me. I read the synopsis on this one and it gave me One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid vibes. Immediately, yes. I really am so eager to try this book. It's got the perfect like summer vibes kind of a cover with the Ferris wheel. I just really loved One True Loves, and the synopsis. It's 5 years after her husband's death. She's finally ready to let go of Ethan and the dreams she had for their future. So she goes back to Seabrook, where they first became childhood sweethearts. Seems like the perfect time and place to find closure. Plus, she and her daughter Zoe get to spend time with Ethan's wonderful family. Josh has been secretly in love with Maggie since they met, but his brother ultimately won her heart. Josh has been unable to eradicate her from his heart, and now that Maggie's ready to move on, he is finally prepared to lay it all on the line and confess his true feelings for her. But his plans falter when shortly after Maggie returns, she encounters a man who could pass for Ethan's twin, but he disappears into the amusement park crowd before she can confront him. That is so mysterious. I did try one other Denise Hunter book last year in 2024, and it was probably one of my least favorite books of the entire year. I'm gonna try this one. If it doesn't work out, I'm probably never gonna try a Denise Hunter book again, but I do have very high hopes for this. And then of course, for my birthday, one of my sweet friends who knows me very well got me One Golden Summer. I loved Every Summer After. 5 stars for me. A book I have reread. We finally got Charlie's Story. I cannot wait to read this book. That's all. Plus, look again at this cover. This perfect summer cover. And Fearless, which is the conclusion to the Powerless series by Lauren Roberts. The reviews on this book right now, guys, you should see the conversations happening in my Patreon where people are agreeing that it's 5 stars or disagreeing that it is so cringe and there's something that occurs that is just not great and really has me so intrigued. I am currently listening to this on audio. I will be wrapping this one up in my May wrap up. So far I'm liking it. we'll see how it goes. I'm just very interested to see what everyone is discussing and the questionable things that happen in this book. And another romantasy that I got is Heavenly Bodies. I did buy this one for myself on a trip to Barnes & Noble. This book is just so pretty. I don't know for sure if it's gonna be my cup of tea, just based on the synopsis. It's not one that I would have gravitated to. However, I've seen so many really great reviews for it that I want to just try it for myself and see how it goes. It blends Greek mythology and shadow magic with a tantalizing enemies to lovers romance that will rewrite the stars. I'm not gonna bother reading the rest of the synopsis because fantasy, romantasy synopsis, I just tend to go into those books blind because half the time I don't even know what the synopsis is saying and it's more fun just to dive in. So I'm totally going into this one based on reviews, and I really hope that I end up loving it as much as I see everyone else is loving it. And another one on that note is Ember in the Ashes. This book has been on my TBR for literally years and years. A sweet person online sent this to me, so it's finally in my hands. I'm very excited for this one as well. It's another one that I don't really know what the synopsis is. I really want to go into it blind, but the reviews since before booktube and book talk were even a thing, when it was just bookstagram, people were reading and loving this one, and so it's really been on my TBR since like those days. So it's been too long. I am going to read this year. Mark my words. It's happening. And for my birthday, a friend sent me The Rom-coms by Catherine Center. I've enjoyed several books that I read by Catherine Center. This one is so pretty with the pink edges. It's perfect for summer. I have several friends now who are like, this is the best Catherine Center ever. 5 stars. And so I'm looking forward to reading it because some of her newer stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, I didn't love it, or I just don't even bother reading it because of reviews. But this one, with having several people give it 5 stars, I'm like, okay, for you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and try it. I don't know what this one's even about, if I'm being honest. She longs to be a screenwriter, spends her life studying and obsessing over writing romantic comedies, but she's also been the sole caregiver for her dad who needs full-time help. She gets the chance to rewrite a script for famous screenwriter Charlie Yates, the Charlie Yates, her personal writing god. It's a break too big to pass up. Her younger sister steps in for dad duty. Emma moves to LA for 6 weeks for the writing gig of a lifetime, but what is it they say? Don't meet your heroes. Charlie doesn't want to write with anyone, much less a failed nobody screenwriter. Worse, the romantic comedy he's written is so terrible it might actually bring on the apocalypse. But Emma's not going down without a fight. She'll stand up for herself and for rom-coms and for love itself. Look at the inside of this one though. It actually does sound really cute, and I'm looking forward to reading it this summer. A random purchase that I made because I asked on Instagram for some books that are clean but have a lot of drama and depth to them, because I love depth and drama and like human stuff and life lessons, but I don't particularly love that a lot of those books end up quite open door. So I was just seeing like what books people would suggest, and this book got recommended several times over, and that is Lulu's Cafe by T.I. Lowe. I did buy this little bitty one because it was the only edition that Amazon offered, but then I saw it at Barnes & Noble and that cover is so much better, and I was very tempted, guys, to buy it. But I was like, I will try this first, see if I like it, and if I do, I'll go buy the better cover. But I have very high expectations for this book because it was the top one out of all the suggestions people made that were like, you must read this book. My battery is about to die, so hold please. And we're back. Take 2. Leah is on the run from a violent past. She arrives in tiny Rivertown, South Carolina, battered and broken, but ready to reinvent herself. By a stroke of fate, she's drawn to the southern hospitality of a small cafe. Lulu, the owner, offers her a job, a place to stay, and a new lease on life. Leah quickly finds herself embraced by the quaint community as she tries to put herself back together. She soon meets Crowley Mason, the most eligible bachelor in town, a lawyer and friend of Lulu's. He's weary of Leah's sudden, mysterious arrival, but despite his reserve, something sparks between them that can't be denied. But after all she's been through, can Leah allow herself to truly love and be loved, especially when her first urge is to run? Not gonna lie, like the synopsis doesn't have any buzzwords for me. Nothing that is typically what's going to draw me into a book, but I'm going to choose to trust y'all and that you know what you're talking about. Even though this book feels very tiny in my hands, it's going to be very difficult to read. We'll see how this goes. One of my friends and Patreon members had the most clever idea, similar to what my husband did, but she decided to send me 2 of her favorite books for my birthday. She was like, you know, I found so many great books based on your recommendations, and so instead of buying me books like off of my wish list, she decided to send me some of her favorites that I'd never even heard of either one of these books, and I just thought that was like the most clever, sweet thing. We tend to have a very similar reading taste, and I just think it's so fun to read someone else's favorite books. So she sent me 7 Summers. Carly Fortune actually blurbed this one and said, "This book wrecked me in the best possible way." Say less. Wreck me. Yes, please. So 6 summers ago, Liv and Finn met, but their night ended in devastating tragedy, so their hearts are bound together inextricably. But Finn's life is in LA with his band, and Liv's is in Cornwall with her family, so they make a promise that he will return every year, and if they are single, they'll spend the summer together. This summer, Liv crosses paths with Tom, who is a mysterious new arrival in her hometown. Their powerful attraction deepens, and for the first time, Liv can imagine a world where her heart isn't broken every autumn. Now she must awake an impossible choice, and when she discovers the shocking reason why Tom has left home, Liv will need to trust her heart even more. So intrigued by that plotline. And she also sent me The Lost Bookshop, which this one sounds also so interesting and like mysterious. On a quiet street in Dublin, a lost bookshop is waiting to be found. Obeline, Martha, Henry, they have been the side characters in their own lives. But when a vanishing bookshop casts its spell, these 3 unsuspecting strangers will discover that their own stories are every bit as extraordinary as the ones found in the pages of their beloved books. By unlocking the secrets of the shelves, they find themselves transported to a world of wonder where nothing is as it seems. So, is it a fantasy? Is it a mystery? I don't really know, but it sounds also very intriguing and very good. And this cover, guys. This cover wins. Another friend sent me Love Unwritten. I have yet to read Love Redesign. I think that I'm like hesitant and like holding off reading that because it's not the one that everyone seems to love. It is this one. So I'm starting to wonder if I just skip that one and jump right into this one. Can you guys let me know if that's like something I can do? Because this is the book that so many of my friends absolutely love so much, and I'm very eager to read this one and like less eager to read the other one. So what does one do? Because I usually like to read books in order. It bothers me to read them out of order. I'm pretty sure it's a nanny to single dad trope. Yes. She's his nanny, he's a single dad. Wonder where it's gonna go. Just kidding. I don't wonder at all. We all know where it's gonna go. This next one is another one that is top up there for me that I'm very drawn to and like expect to read really soon, that a friend sent to me, and that is The Words We Lost. I've seen several of my good friends just weeping over this book, loving this book. It is the first in a series, and I hear that the series as a whole is amazing, and so that's always encouraging that you know it's gonna be like good all the way through. It's 3 friends, 2 broken promises, and 1 missing manuscript. I realize right now that I literally haven't even read the synopsis on this. I just added it to my wish list based on a few reviews and tears that I saw shed over it. So this girl works for Fog Harbor Books in San Francisco. She's rejected many manuscripts for lack of defined conflict. In the months following the death of her childhood best friend and best-selling author, Ingrid has not only lost her ability to escape into fiction due to a rare trauma response, but she's also desperate to find the closure she's convinced will come with Cecilia's missing final manuscript. But when Joel Campbell, the man who shattered her belief in happily ever afters, offers her a sealed envelope from his late cousin Cecilia, asking Joel and Ingrid to put their differences aside and retrieve a mysterious package, honoring Cecilia's last request will challenge their convictions and test their loyalties. But through it all, will Ingrid and Joel be brave enough to uncover a twice-in-a-lifetime love? Yeah, that's probably going to rip my heart out. And this is another one that I'm so excited to read and like very intrigued by, Where Darkness Dwells. A land plagued with darkness and grief is all Amira knows, but when luminescent creatures appear in the veil, her inborn gift awakens and allows her to see the shadows for what they are. Caught between fear and the pull of light on her soul, she must decide whether her convictions are worth shattering the beliefs of those she loves. This is another one that came highly recommended to me when I was asking for like more unique fantasy that isn't necessarily that open door romantasy. And so I'm really excited to see, because just based on the synopsis, it sounds to me like it will be a light versus darkness type of a story, and like a person maybe trying to fight off fear and darkness. I don't know, I could be way off, but that's just kind of what it sounds like to me. Another book that I've been wanting to read for a while now that someone sent me for my birthday is The Ex-Vows. Two estranged exes have to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters. It just has sounded so cute since the day I saw it come out and saw other people reading it and loving it, and I just had yet to like get my hands on it and to read it. And so I'm really eager to pick this one up as well. And another sweet friend sent me Us Against You. I read Beartown so many years ago, guys. Typically, I would completely forget a story after 2 months, let alone 5 years. But Beartown is one of those books that has stuck with me, and I do not know why I haven't read this next book. In fact, I was on some reading sprints with my Patreon and we were talking about it, and I was like, I think I just haven't read it because I've yet to get this book in my hands. I'm really bad about reading books if they're not on my shelf. And so she sent it to me, which was so clever and sweet of her, because she's like, put it on your shelf so you finally read it. I know my heart is gonna have to be in the right kind of place for me to pick this book up. If it's anything like Beartown, it's raw, like it deals with some big things, but I also really love those types of stories. So I'm really excited to finally have this one on my shelf to get to hopefully really soon. And another book I fully expect to break my heart is Promise Me Sunshine. Another friend sent this for my birthday. All I know about this one is it deals with heavy themes of grief. She loses her best friend, finds her life turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again. He says that he'll help her complete everything on her live again list if she'll help him connect with his niece Ainsley and overcome his complicated relationship with Reese, who's obviously his sister. Lenny doubts that anything can fill the void her best friend has left behind, but between late night ferry rides, midnight ramen, and a well-placed shoulder whenever she needs it, Miles just won't stop showing up for her. And turns out sometimes your life has to end to find your new beginning. Okay, this synopsis is literally bringing tears to my eyes. What the heck? This book's gonna rip my heart out. I already know, so looking forward to it. This next book deserves like its own moment of silence. I did get this for myself. When I was halfway through Light Lark, I purchased this book. Ugh, I need to read it. Like, I need to read it soon because it's haunting me. It's like one of those that's in like the top 3 of the books I want to get to. This is obviously the sequel, book 2, after Light Lark, and the way Light Lark ends and how much I loved Light Lark, I need to read this book, and I need to read it really soon. Another book that I did buy for myself is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I bought this to put on my spring TBR, only to then be told that it actually takes place in the winter. This cover just totally deceived me. It is on my spring TBR still, and I do feel drawn to read it, but I also really like to read things like in their proper setting and season, and so I might hold off and wait for fall or winter, I suppose, but we'll see. We'll see if I get to it. I'm still like really excited to try this one. It took me years to finally agree that like, okay, I'm ready to try this, because it's been classified as cozy fantasy, and I just do not think that cozy fantasy is my type of a thing, but some of the reviews have finally intrigued me, and some of my closest friends have loved this. So I'm gonna give it a try and see if this is a win for me. There was a couple people who commented on another video I was talking about this one and were like, it really frustrates me that they call this cozy fantasy because it's not. There are some high stakes to it. So hopefully I love it. Another book that I recently read and absolutely loved was Mile High. This one is very open door, so please do not jump into it if you do not like that. It's definitely more open door than I would typically read or prefer, but these characters and this plotline just had me in an absolute chokehold. I got so much out of that book that skipping a few of those open door scenes was well worth the reading experience for me, and it's a series that I do want to continue, and so I did get book 2, The Right Move. This is following the brother from the first book and her best friend who have to live together, and I think has fake dating trope I hear this one is even better than Mile High, which that's shocking to me. I just don't know how that's going to be possible, but I'm so excited to read this book. One of my sweet friends at church got me Water from My Heart by Charles Martin. I've never heard of this author or this book, but she really enjoys him, and then when I posted about it on Instagram, so many people messaged me and were like, Charles Martin, oh my gosh, he is so good. It turns out he's compared to Nicholas Sparks, but writes like cleaner and I think faith-based novels, which sounds like that could be exactly my cup of tea. So I am now very excited to try this author. It says that Charlie Finn has spent his life surviving and thriving on the outskirts of privileged society. He's been on his own since he was 16 and earned a life-changing scholarship to Harvard, where he mastered the art of profiting from the vices of others. It served him well in the cutthroat business world, as it now does in more lucrative but dangerous ventures he operates off the coast of Miami. He's always kept his personal relationships separate from his work, but when his two worlds suddenly collide, his choices produce devastating consequences for those he loves. His determination to right his wrongs sends him on a journey through Central America. In Nicaragua, he meets the innocent people who have paid the greatest price for his actions, including a woman and her young daughter. Through their fated encounter, Charlie will be presented with the chance at the life he thought was impossible, and his heart may finally be freed to love one woman as he never knew he could. This guy even looks like Nicholas Sparks. I don't read a lot of romance and like life type of books from men, if I'm being honest, because women write men better, let's just be real, but I'm excited to try this author. I was also gifted Wisteria, which is the last book, I think, after Belladonna and Foxglove. I love these books so much. They're so stunning, and I really liked Belladonna and Foxglove. I've heard a little bit of mixed reviews about Wisteria, but because I enjoyed the first two, I'm excited to try this one. These are kind of like darker fantasy, but in my opinion, they're not like dark, like creepy or anything. That's not my type of a book, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I recommend that if you haven't tried Belladonna yet and you like romantasy and fantasy, you should try it. And that same friend also got me Tea with Elephants. This is one of her favorites. She has completely convinced me to read this one and the next book that I'm going to show you guys. Apparently this one is just a major faith and friendship trope kind of a book, but they go on safari and on tour in Africa. I spent a month in Africa, and so this setting is what draws me in so much to this. I just love being put back in places that I've been. It really connects me with the story even more. Plus a good story about friendship, female friendship in particular, done well. We need books like that because girls don't always know how to be good friends. I appreciate when that's handled well and an encouraging type of a story. And then her other favorite book that she got me is In the Field of Grace by Tessa Afshar. This is a sort of like inspired by the story of Ruth type of retelling. I love the story of Ruth in the Bible, and so I'm very eager to try this one. My friend who got me this has read several Tessa Afshar, and this was her favorite. So I do have very high hopes for this book. And I was sent Girl Meets Grump. So crazy enough, this author actually passed away, and they've been trying to push her book sales to help support her husband and their children. She was super young, like my age, and that's just so heartbreaking. So guys, Haley Gardner is her name, and if you want to go and support her family, go read her books on Kindle Unlimited, go buy a book. So one of my friends sent me one of her books in Haley's honor, which is such an extra special and sweet gift. I'm pretty sure her books are also like that rom-com, closed door type of stories. Trent is sick and tired of spending all his time dealing with the nagging guests who stay at the cabins of Wildwood. The only way he can finish his current build on the property, which is a tree house, is to bring on a new manager. But his frustration only mounts as he discovers the new hire is someone he's already met. A guest whose incessant questions and breezy personality has driven him mad during her stay. Sydney Foster has recently returned home to Kitts Harbor after a stint in Europe working as a travel blogger. When she finds herself needing a steady job, managing the enchanting cabins at Wildwood feels like the perfect way to satisfy her wanderlust. Too bad the charming haven in the woods comes with a bear of a man who seems doggedly determined to bring out the worst in her. This is an opposites attract, sweet romantic comedy. I'm sure it's gonna just be laugh out loud funny and really sweet. This next book I am very nervous about. It is huge. It is not a book that I would normally be drawn to, but again, reviews have just gotten me, and a friend bought it for me for my birthday. That is The Sword of Kagan. Guys, I don't even know. This is one of those that I read the synopsis and I don't understand. Like, I do not know what it's gonna be about. It's about warriors and fighters and a legendary Matsuda family and someone who sounds like Mulan. She's determined to be a good housewife and mother, so she hid away her sword along with everything from her days as a fighter. But with her son asking questions about the outside world, the threat of invasion looming on the horizon, and her frigid husband grating on her nerves, Misaki finds the fighter in her clawing its way back to the surface. This literally gives me Mulan vibes, and I'm here for it. Otherwise, I do not know what this is about. I strictly wanted this book based on the rave reviews it's getting, but I do hope that I love it as much as I've seen lots of other people loving this book. Almost done, guys. All That Really Matters by Nicole DC. I have heard great things about this author's books and I have yet to try one. You already saw the other book that I got from the same author, so hopefully I really like her writing because now I have 2 of her books. I think this one's about an influencer discovering what really matters. She ends up volunteering at a transitional program for aged out foster kids, and the director, Silas, does not find her as charming as her followers do. Despite his ridiculous rules and terms, Molly dives into mentoring, surprising herself with the genuine connections and concern she quickly develops for the girls and for Silas. As her once narrow focus opens to the deep needs of those she's come to know, she must face the ones she's neglected inside herself for so long. I expect that this is just gonna be one of those that makes you think like our internet world and influencers and like all those things are not the point of life. Like, that's the story I'm expecting, and I actually really love that whole idea. I'd love more messages and more incentive for people to remember that there's a whole world around them. A real one that they can touch and real people they can smile at, and that the stuff behind our screens is not what's most important in life. Anyways, that is what I hope to glean from this book, and I expect that this book is going to kind of be about. And I got This Woven Kingdom. This is another one that's like a YA fantasy romantasy that has been on my list for literally years and years. Spoiler, I am reading this one in June with my friend for her book club and so excited to finally read it. This is actually the same author of the Shatter Me series, so I do have high hopes that I will like her writing and I will like this book. Forbidden Romance. Say less. Sold. I'm excited to get this one off of my TBR because it has been there for way too long. And another one that when I asked that question on Instagram about like more closed door books that deliver in like depth and emotion and drama, this was the other book that was so highly recommended, and another one that I cannot wait to pick up. That is Redemption by T. Bell. Just the cover itself is so beautiful. I'm a screw up. On my first day back in town, I accidentally assault an officer who also happens to be my brother's best friend and the only man I've ever loved. Say less. I already know I'm gonna love this book. Best tropes of all. Second chance romance, brother's best friend, childhood friends or enemies, like any of that. I'm here for it. I'm set. I'm going to trust that this book's going to deliver. The last book is Sons of Blackbird Mountain. I didn't even realize when I got this book that it's the same author of the book my husband picked for me, but it came as like an Amazon recommendation and I was like, yes, please. I need to read that book because it's about a woman who, I think she's a widow. Yes, she is a widow and she has to give up her life in Norway and become a housekeeper in the rugged hills of 19th century Appalachia. So she ends up there caring for this home full of brothers. One of them I know is like deaf and mute based on the synopsis, and she kind of falls for him, but like multiple of the brothers fall for her. It just sounds so good and so interesting. You know, I love triangle and how that just keeps me guessing. Plus, one of the guys' names is Thor. He's the deaf and mute one. How could I not love this book? Will two brothers longing for her quiet spirit tear apart a family? I'm very excited to read this one too. Alright, and that is a wrap on this primarily birthday book haul. Thank you so much again to everyone who sent me books. They all mean so much to me and I have a lot of reading to do that I'm so excited for. It's perfect for summertime because since I won't be homeschooling through the summer, I can hopefully read a lot more and get through a lot of these. So thank you so much again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video and you have not hit subscribe yet, please stick around, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Go read a book.